guys, welcome to another video. Today we're reviewing Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. This film came out yesterday and was directed by Sam Raimi and stars Benedict Cumberbatch and Elizabeth Olsen. Now before we start, with the like button, subscribe, the post notification bell so you can know for every video, and let's just start. Let's start talking about the good. So all the actors and actors in were fantastic. The main standouts are of course Benedict Cumberbatch and Elizabeth Olsen. Elizabeth Olsen is phenomenal in this film. I've never seen her this good in any Marvel film. WandaVision and this film are tied in terms of her performances because she is phenomenal in this film. The opening sequence is awesome. One of the best opening sequences of a standalone Marvel film. It's basically another version of Doctor Strange or Defender Strange. It's sort of like a multiversal sequence with Defender Strange, and he's killed by this multiversal creature that's holding America Chavez hostage. It is bloody for the MCU. It just goes straight into it. It doesn't waste any time. From that opening sequence, it just goes full on bloody, and I really enjoyed that opening sequence. And one other thing about this film is that it doesn't waste any time. Every sequence gets to the point, and I think that has to do with Sam Raimi. Sam Raimi, most of his films are fast-paced and very entertaining, and this film is no exception. The cinematography, which of course includes shots of cameras and lighting, fantastic. Of course, you have Sam Raimi. Sam Raimi is one of the best directors, one of the most iconic horror directors of all time. Of course, Evil Dead. You also have his superhero films, Spider-Man, Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man 3, and of course Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. And the cinematography is fantastic for this film. The first act of the film, I thought it was great. It doesn't waste any time with setting up any characters. It shows America Chavez, which of course we know nothing about her, but it just opens up with that multiversal sequence, and then the next sequence has America Chavez just appear out of nowhere. And while some people might think that it doesn't work, I think it worked because really all I really cared about was her power set. Of course, you need some exposition on her character, which we do get a little bit of that later on in the film, but the first act of the film was very fast-paced. And this is, like I said, this is a Sam Raimi film. You have a lot of close-ups, a lot of unique action sequences, all those horror elements thrown throughout the film. It feels a lot like Evil Dead from 1981, one of my favorite horror films of all time. But this film does feel very Evil Dead. There are some awesome action sequences. Sam Raimi definitely knows how to craft those action sequences. You have Doctor Strange and Wong versus Gargantos, which is that octopus-like creature. Awesome. One of the best sequences in the entire film. And Doctor Strange versus Strange Supreme, or the evil Doctor Strange. It is one of the most unique action sequences in all of the MCU. It's basically a music battle. And when I get into the score is just, well, I'll get into it later, but this sequence alone is one of the best sequences in the entire film. It's a music battle between evil Doctor Strange and Doctor Strange. Awesome sequence. There are also many brutal, intense sequences. It really pushes that PG-13 limit. It goes farther than what I thought they would have done. There's a lot more blood than I imagined, and there is a lot of blood in this film. The second act of the film is very fast-paced and very entertaining. Sam Raimi, one thing about Sam Raimi films is that they're always fast-paced, always very entertaining, and the second act of the film goes very fast, and while it could have slowed down a bit, it was really fast, and it carries it quickly. It doesn't waste any time. The reveal of Mordo, who's of course played by Chiwetel Ejiofor, it was great. I really like the character of Mordo from Doctor Strange. They bring him back, and I think his reveal is great. I really liked his character in this film. And of course, he is a villain. He does some heroic things for about 10 seconds, and then he just goes straight on into a villain. The relationship between Stephen Strange and Dr. Christine Palmer, who's of course played by Rachel McAdams, great. I really liked how they continued that relationship between those two characters throughout this entire film. The continuity with Doctor Strange 2016, WandaVision 2021, Spider-Man No Way Home 2021, as well as some what-if elements in this episode. It's very good continuity. I think they did the best job that they could with continuing the story from Spider-Man No Way Home and What If and WandaVision and the original Doctor Strange. I think that since we already know those films, they didn't waste any time in this film, like I stated earlier. There is also a fun multiversal jumping scene. Really, really fun. The visuals are fantastic. You have Doctor Strange and America Chavez jumping through multiverses, and while I wish they would have spent a little more time in some of these multiverses, it was fine by me. It was a fun sequence. And they're also fantastic jump scares. Sam Raimi knows how to craft his jump scares. Evil Dead has some of the greatest jump scares that I've ever seen in a horror film. And there's one sequence in particular, which is Professor X's death, which Professor X died, I think, 3 times now. But he dies in this film, and his neck is snapped by Wanda, and it's crafted perfectly. It has a close-up on his face, but then it transitions right next to him, and then you just see Wanda with this creepy face. Wanda looks terrifying in that sequence. She has this weird zombie-like face. She kills Professor X, and it was horrifying. And the zombie sequences are very, very well done, especially with the jump scares. There's one sequence in particular which you see in the trailer, which is that snow sequence with zombie Doctor Strange. Great sequence. There are some awesome cameos and some horrifying deaths. When I mean horrifying, I did not expect them to go this far, but of course, it did push the PG-13 limit. So you have Richard Reeves, or Mr. Fantastic, played by, of course, John Krasinski. I really, really enjoyed this casting. I wish we would see more of him, which we probably could because, the multiverse, but his death is very brutal. His skin is turned to string, which that is the least brutal of all the deaths of these characters. Professor X, like I stated earlier, his neck is snapped by Wanda. It was horrifying. Captain Carter, Haley Atwell. Now this sequence where she is cut in half with her own shield, the music, the score for that sequence was fantastic, but it was very, very brutal. And Lashana Lynch, not Brie Larson, who's playing Captain Marvel, the statue collapses on her. Of course, Wanda used her magic, and Wanda just goes crazy in that sequence. She just kills all of those people, and it's very, very brutal, and it's just Sam Raimi. And I think the cameos for this film, I think it was the perfect amount of cameos. I really wanted a lot of cameos in the beginning when I heard about this film, the multiverse. But then as I was thinking about it, I really wanted a film centered on Doctor Strange, and more of a character film, which this film is definitely a character film of Doctor Strange. It focuses on him and also America Chavez, but the main focus is on Doctor Strange, and I really, really like that about this film, where they didn't go full-on cameo after cameo, which would have pretty much ruined the film. The third act of the film was awesome. I really, really enjoyed the third act. It's Doctor Strange. We see it in the trailer. It's Doctor Strange, Wong, Sorcerers, America Chavez, and they're all fighting against Wanda. It's awesome. That sequence where she arrives and she's flying in the sky. Of course, she is now full and powerful Scarlet Witch, and she's just flying in the sky. She's taking out all these sorcerers, and it's crazy, but it's a lot of fun. The score by Danny Elfman is phenomenal. I really, really enjoyed Danny Elfman's score for this film. Of course, he scored Spider-Man 2, I believe. Danny Elfman is fantastic. Nightmare Before Christmas. Danny Elfman was the perfect person to score this film. His Doctor Strange theme was fantastic, and Wong's entrance, that score alone gave me chills. Right when Wong entered, it felt like it came just out of America's Avengers Endgame. Fantastic. The post-credit sequence, I thought it was great. The ending sequence was Wanda appears to be dead, and Doctor Strange is the Illuminati. It was really really weird way to take things, but I think it worked because it's a twist on Doctor Strange's character, and Wanda, she looks like she's dead, but I really don't think that Wanda is dead because it's Wanda Maximoff. You're not going to kill her off in this film so early. And the post-credit sequence, Doctor Strange becomes the Illuminati, and he continues that. Bruce Campbell is in this film in that post-credit sequence. He is in the film earlier on, and he's just getting repeatedly punched in the face, and it continues that. and I loved it because it reminded me exactly of the Evil Dead sequence where it does a close up on his face, and he says it's over. I love that sequence. It was very, very funny. And Clea Strange, who's the niece of Dormammu, I had no clue who this character was. They arrived in the film in the post-credit sequence. I had no clue who Clea Strange was because I didn't read any of the comics. So when I saw this character, I didn't really know what to think. And then I looked it up, and she was the niece of Dormammu, so that kind of makes sense. That's all the good that I have. Now let's move on to the bad. So some sequences do feel rushed. I think they could have expanded and fleshed out more of the story. This is shorter than I expected for a multiversal film, but it didn't bother me because it was fast paced. But I feel like some sequences could have been expanded so that we can feel more of the emotion with some of the characters. MCU is becoming more woke, and I did not like that at all. There are a lot of sequences. Well, there's one sequence in particular where America Chavez has two mothers. Why? I don't understand why they had to include that sequence in the film. It did not help propel the story at all. I did not like her character after that. Well, I guess I liked her, but she went way down for me. It just became too woke for me, and I did not like that at all. That's about it. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness is a fun and very entertaining MCU film. It is definitely a Sam Raimi film, and I highly recommend it. And the Avatar Way of Water trailer is phenomenal. James Cameron, can't wait. And with all that being said, I'm going to give Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness a B+. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, hit the post notification bell for a video. I'm Peter. Thanks for watching.